My name is Eleanor Whitman. I'm 91 years old, and I live alone in a small white house just outside of Nashville. There's a maple tree in my front yard that's older than my youngest son would have been, and every morning before the sun comes up, I turn on the porch light and watch the sky soften from black to blue. Most people my age are waking up to pill organizers and visiting nurses. I wake up to birdsong, bare feet on hardwood floors, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing I still belong fully to myself. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Here we go, another old lady pretending she's 30, let me tell you something plain. I don't live like I'm 50 because I'm lucky. I live like I'm 50 because I refuse to surrender at 70. At 5:12 a.m., my eyes open without an alarm. They always do. I lie still for a moment, not because I'm stiff, but because I'm grateful. 91 years is a long time to be borrowing breath. I press my palm against my chest and feel the steady rhythm under my ribs. Still here, I whisper. Some mornings that feels like a victory. I swing my legs over the side of the bed slowly, not weakly, slowly. There's a difference. I learned that difference the hard way at 68, when I jumped up too fast and the room spun like a carnival ride. I hit the dresser and bruised my hip. That was the day I understood something. Speed is a young person's luxury. Precision is an old person's power. In the kitchen, I don't turn on the big lights. I switch on the small lamp by the stove. The yellow glow makes the room feel kind. I fill my kettle with filtered water and set it to boil. While it warms, I stretch. Not fancy yoga poses you see on television. Just simple movements I've done every morning for 23 years. Neck rolls, shoulder circles, gentle bends at the waist. I hold the back of a chair and lift my heels 20 times. My calves still respond. My balance still answers when I call. At 70, my doctor looked at my chart and said, "Eleanor, at your age we need to start thinking about slowing down." I remember staring at him over the rim of my glasses. "At my age?" I asked. "What age is that exactly?" He smiled politely. I went home angry that afternoon. I sat at my kitchen table and made a decision. I could either let the world shrink me, or I could expand inside it. The kettle whistles. I pour hot water over a slice of fresh ginger and half a lemon. I don't drink this because a magazine told me it's magic. I drink it because it wakes up my insides gently. While I sip, I open the back door and step onto the porch. The air in Nashville has a sweetness in spring you can't describe unless you've lived through enough winters to earn it. I breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, release for 6. I do that 10 times. Oxygen is free medicine. Nobody charges for it yet. By 5:45 a.m., I lace up my sneakers. Yes, sneakers. White ones. I buy a new pair every year whether they look worn or not. Support matters. I walk the same route every morning. Down Maple Street. Left at the church with the red door. Past the Johnson's fence where their golden retriever used to bark at me before he passed on. It's just under a mile. Some days I do it once, some days twice. People think independence is dramatic. It's not. It's built quietly in repetition. When I was 73, I tripped on an uneven sidewalk crack during my walk. I scraped my palms and split the skin above my eyebrow. A young man rushed over, panicked, insisting he call an ambulance. I sat up, tasted blood, and started laughing. Honey, I told him, if I call an ambulance every time I fall, I'll never get back up. I went home, cleaned myself, and walked again the next day, carefully, watching the ground. But I walked. Back in my kitchen, I make breakfast, 2 eggs scrambled in olive oil, a handful of spinach, half an avocado, sometimes oatmeal with walnuts and blueberries. I eat at the table, not in front of a television. I chew slowly. Digestion starts in the mouth. My grandmother taught me that long before science confirmed it. After breakfast, I wash my dishes immediately. A sink full of dirty plates is a small form of surrender. I refuse surrender in tiny things, because tiny things turn into large ones when you're not looking. At 7 a.m., I sit in my armchair by the window with a notebook. I've filled 47 of them since I turned 60. I don't write poetry. I write thoughts, observations, gratitudes, worries. When my husband died at 74, heart attack, quick and cruel, I thought the silence would swallow me. That notebook saved me. Grief is loud in the mind. Writing gives it somewhere to land. I miss him every day. Don't let anyone tell you that grief fades. It doesn't fade. It changes temperature. It used to burn. Now it hums. At 75, after the funeral casseroles stopped coming and the house felt too big, my daughter suggested I move in with her in Dallas. You shouldn't be alone, she said. I looked around at my kitchen, my porch, my maple tree. I'm not alone, I told her. I'm independent. There's a difference. Independence doesn't mean refusing help. It means not needing it for things you can still do yourself. 3 mornings a week, I lift light dumbbells in my living room, 5 pounds in each hand. I do bicep curls, overhead presses, and slow squats while holding on to the back of a sturdy chair. Muscle is insurance. The day you can't lift your own grocery bag is the day the world starts deciding for you. When I turned 80, my doctor, different one by then, looked at my blood work and blinked twice. You're healthier than some of my 60-year-olds, he said. I smiled but didn't feel proud. I felt validated. There's a difference. At 8:30 a.m., I call someone, not because I'm lonely, but because connection is maintenance for the heart. Sometimes it's my sister in Cleveland. Sometimes it's my neighbor, Ruth, who's 84 and convinced she's ancient. We're not ancient, I tell her. We're seasoned. At 9 a.m., I work in my garden. Tomatoes in summer, kale in fall. Even in winter, I tend to the soil. Kneeling and standing is better than any gym membership. Dirt under your fingernails reminds you that you're part of something larger than your own pulse. I don't avoid doctors entirely. Let's be sensible. I go for annual checkups. I take a low-dose medication for blood pressure. I listen, but I also question. At 69, a physician suggested a medication just in case. I asked what lifestyle changes I could try first. He seemed surprised. That surprised me. Age doesn't remove your right to ask questions. Around noon, I prepare lunch, usually leftovers. I eat slowly again. Afterward, I rest, not nap, rest. I sit on the couch with a book. Sometimes it's a novel, sometimes history. I like reading about the United States in its early days. It reminds me that struggle built this place. Comfort didn't. In the afternoons, I tackle one practical task. Bills on Monday, laundry on Tuesday, grocery shopping on Wednesday. I push my own cart through the store. I reach for cans on lower shelves and stretch carefully for those slightly higher. A young employee once rushed over to grab a box for me. "I've got it," I told him gently. "If I stop reaching, I'll stop being able to." At 87, I almost stopped. It was winter. Ice glazed the sidewalk outside my house. I stepped out too confidently and slipped. This time, I couldn't laugh it off. I fractured my wrist. The cast felt like a sentence. For 6 weeks, I needed help opening jars, tying shoes, carrying laundry. I hated it. One evening, sitting alone with my useless arm propped on a pillow, I felt something darker than pain. I felt fear. What if this is how it begins? What if one fall turns into 2, then 3, then a wheelchair, then a room in someone else's house where my maple tree is just a memory? Fear can either freeze you or train you. The day my cast came off, I hired a physical therapist for 6 sessions. Not because insurance insisted, because I did. I practiced grip strength like it was my job. I installed better outdoor lighting. I put railings on my porch steps. Independence isn't stubbornness, it's strategy. Now at 91, my hands are steady enough to thread a needle. Not as fast as before, but steady. Evenings are quiet. I cook dinner around 5 p.m. grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, sometimes a small piece of dark chocolate afterward. I don't deprive myself of joy. I just don't let joy come in destructive forms. After dinner, I wash dishes again, wipe counters, sweep crumbs. These small rituals close the day gently. At 7 p.m., I watch a little television, mostly documentaries or old films. By 9 p.m., I'm in bed. People ask me my secret like it's a single magical thing. It's not ginger tea. It's not walking. It's not spinach. It's this. I never outsourced my responsibility for my own body. When my friends retired at 65, many of them retired from effort too. They stopped moving as much, stopped learning new things, stopped challenging themselves. Comfort is seductive, especially when you've earned it, but comfort, unchecked, becomes decay. I still learn. Last year, at 90, I learned how to use video calls so I could see my great-grandson's face when he laughs. The first time I managed it without help, I clapped for myself like a child. Pride has no age limit. Let me tell you about last Tuesday. I was reaching for a glass in the cabinet. My fingers brushed it wrong. It slipped. For a split second, I saw it shatter on the floor, saw myself bending too fast, losing balance, falling. Instead, I caught it against my chest. My heart pounded. That's the truth of 91. You're aware of fragility in a way 50-year-olds aren't. But awareness isn't weakness. It's vigilance. I set the glass down carefully and leaned against the counter. Still here, I whispered again. I don't pretend I'll live forever. I won't. None of us will. But I refuse to shrink before I must. If you're 40 and reading this, Listen closely. Your 90-year-old body is being built right now. Every step you skip, every vegetable you avoid, every hour you spend sitting when you could be moving. It's all being recorded somewhere deep in your bones. If you're 70 and feeling old, stop accepting that word as a verdict. Old is not a disease. Inactivity is. At 91, I drive my own car, locally, in daylight. I manage my own finances. I climb the 3 steps to my porch without holding the railing most days. I laugh loudly. I cry sometimes too. Independence doesn't mean emotional isolation. Last month, my daughter visited from Dallas again. She stood in my kitchen watching me cook. "Mom," she said softly, "you're incredible." I turned to her and shook my head. "No," I said, "I'm consistent." That's less glamorous, but it's true. Consistency woke me up at 5:12 this morning. Consistency laced my sneakers. Consistency chose eggs over pastries. Consistency lifted 5-pound weights when 10 felt impossible. Consistency installed railings after a fall. Consistency filled 47 notebooks. Consistency kept me from moving away from my maple tree too soon. I am 91 years old. My skin is thin. My hair is silver. My hands show every year I've lived. But my spirit? It stands up straight. When I lie down tonight, I'll press my palm to my chest again. I'll feel that steady rhythm and whisper, "Still here." And tomorrow morning, before the sun rises over Nashville, I'll turn on my porch light, breathe in the cool air, and build my independence one quiet habit at a time. Not because I'm trying to be 50, but because I'm determined to be fully 91.